For years, I thought I needed a massive spiritual awakening to change my life. But what actually changed everything for me? Simplicity, repetition, and a willingness to get curious. In this video, I want to share how I've been able to rewire negative beliefs about myself and my life, and the 5 biggest things that made a difference for me. After years in the mental health field as a licensed therapist, this channel for me is my way of holding space for anybody who's ever felt weighed down by personal growth. I'm learning in real time that healing can be playful, light, and rooted in love, and I really hope that you feel that here. The first thing that I really had to relearn when I was trying to feel differently about myself and about my life was that rewiring your subconscious and truly anchoring in new beliefs is just like forming or building a habit. It's not always like a lightning bolt or like some grand awakening experience where all of a sudden your limiting belief is no more. It truly happens through repetition, and you have to be willing to commit to that process. And the biggest thing and the hardest thing is that it may not feel like it's working at first, to be honest. For me, I had to be very willing to be super frustrated with myself and to keep going anyway and to feel like I was failing, because I won't lie, in the past, I am a person who has wanted a quick fix for these beliefs that are negative about myself, because it's incredibly uncomfortable to not feel good in yourself, to not believe positive things about yourself and your life, to not have the confidence that you can do something. That's very uncomfortable. And of course, it would be wonderful if it could be a lightning bolt and all of a sudden you just do feel confident about that thing. But for me, that honestly wasn't the case. And I did feel like for a while it wasn't working, but I committed to the process of building the habit without getting obsessed and overcomplicating it. Okay, now the second part of this, what exactly was I committing to? What exactly was I doing to form this new habit? So for me, the easiest way that I can describe this is thought interruption. So it's not about eliminating everything that's negative that you feel. For me, it was all about calling attention to the negative belief that I was reinforcing and redirecting it. And everybody's redirect is honestly going to look differently. For me, I honestly could just shift into a new thought lane, and sometimes it even worked better if I didn't fully acknowledge the negative thought or the negative belief. So for example, if I had a belief about myself that, oh, you're never gonna find your purpose here on earth and you're forever gonna feel like you're floundering. That was a belief that I really did have at the beginning of this year. And for me, I didn't actually feel like I had to fully acknowledge and empathize with that thought. I didn't really give it the time of day. What worked better for me was to switch lanes and say, okay, is there solid proof and hard evidence for that thought being true? No. Is that something that I can prove without a doubt? No. And is that something that I want to reinforce in my life? No. So I just chose a different thought to replace it with every time that came up. So when I started to think that, I would switch gears into your purpose is unfolding one day at a time, and all you need to do is take the next right step. That was my mantra, and I think mantras are a big part of thought interruption. But for some people, if they try to automatically switch gears and redirect away from the thought without fully acknowledging the negative thought or the difficult feeling, that doesn't work for them. For example, my sister does feel like she ruminates on those things, but if she tries to do the thought interruption, in her experience and what she shared with me, she feels like it is more helpful for her to acknowledge that feeling and then add a more empowering thought on top of that. So for example, I could say, going with this same belief, my thoughts and my brain are telling me that I'm not going to find my purpose, that I'm going to flounder forever. I could tell myself, why do you believe that about yourself? Who made you feel that way in the past? And acknowledge the root of that so that you can discredit that belief. There's this quote that I love that says, our thoughts are trains and we can change tracks, but we have to be present enough to realize that we're even on a train in the first place. Awareness of your thoughts and redirection is absolutely the key in rewiring those beliefs. You have to be aware of what your beliefs are in the first place, and you have to be willing to commit to the habit of redirecting those thoughts and not giving into the emotional turmoil that those thoughts can ultimately cause. Okay, the third component to this is that curiosity is your absolute best friend when you're trying to rewire your beliefs about yourself. And curiosity is your nervous system's best friend. Our brains are primitively wired for protection and survival. So our brains are going to see problems even when there aren't problems, especially if you have a history of trauma. When you have trauma, your brain is just going to be hypervigilant. It's trained to do so. And also, if you are aware of that, you can have more compassion for yourself. I truly feel like it helps when I thank my brain for trying to protect me, but reassure my brain that I don't need protection, that I trust myself, I trust the now, and it doesn't need to protect me from anything because there isn't a problem. Once I stopped judging myself for overthinking and I just got curious about what the thoughts meant and how I can redirect them, I felt so much more freedom in being able to choose my own beliefs about myself. The next one is huge, and I could talk about it for genuinely hours and hours. It's that you don't need a grand awakening for things to change for you. I promise you, I was one of those people that thought that I needed to have some grand spiritual awakening, that I thought I needed to see psychics or go do Reiki or do a breathwork journey, anything that was going to get me this grand epiphany in this moment where things became clear for me. And I promise you, you don't need it. And a lot of the time you waste your money and time and give your trust out a little too easily in pursuit of this grand spiritual awakening. I know for me, I definitely wasn't as discerning with who I was trusting with my time and my money and my energy when I was desperate for a spiritual awakening. And it's so easy to get caught in that trap, and you just don't need it. I promise you. You already have the tools, and it really is so simple. I didn't say it was easy, but it is simple. The dramatic shifts in our life, they come from our small, consistent choices. They come from showing up every day, having an intention every day that you're going to do things differently for yourself. And I promise you, if I can do this, you can do this, because I have been the most obsessed with finding my purpose and having a grand epiphany moment. And this really ties into number 5, which is basically that I let go of all control to find safety in the present. Because me being obsessed with having a secure future and having safety in the future was absolutely robbing me of my joy and my safety and feeling secure in myself in the moment. Me constantly stressing about the future, that's not a life. That's not a life I wanted to live. And I went for a lot of years doing this. And I promise you, I tried to stress my way to a purpose. I really did. I tried to stress my way to finding what my soul was meant to do here. And I learned the very, very, very hard way that that's just not how it works. And my biggest shift in all of this was moving from survival mode of always being stressed, always being in panic mode, always creating a problem in my mind or believing that things were a problem, into trusting myself, trusting the moment, trusting that I am going to take the next right step for myself. And you are too. There's no way you can miss the boat meant for you. Your next right step, it's either going to be a lesson or your dream situation, and both are valuable. You need both. You don't get to your dream situation without the lessons along the way. So there really is no wrong answer. I'll say this about relationships, I'll say this about jobs, I'll say this about any decision that you make for your own life. There is no wrong answer. And I really use this a lot in relationships, especially with my friends that are still dating. They'll come to me stressed, like, well, I don't know if this is the right person for me, or I don't know if I'm making the right choice. And obviously, barring more serious situations where there really is a lot of toxicity going on, obviously, and that can be a lesson too, but for most things, there really is no wrong answer, because The wrong answers always help you find your way to the right answer. It's all a learning experience, just this life. And I made a YouTube short about this, but this is one of my biggest mantras for just feeling into the difficult moments or feeling into the experience of being human. And it's that I tell myself, it's all signs of life. Everything, every lesson, every hard decision, every bad day, every emotional crash out, so to speak, it's all a sign of life. It's a sign that you're here and you're breathing and you get another chance tomorrow. You don't have to have it all figured out to be free. And in fact, not having it figured out and not forcing yourself to have it figured out is actually what makes you feel free. I am promising you this because I am learning this in very real time. The beginning of this year, I made an absolute commitment that this year I was going to stop stressing about my life purpose. And all of these things that I'm telling you, that I'm talking about today, this is the way I got to where I am now, where I can honestly say I do not stress about that anymore. And I know that was a mere 6 months ago, but I'm telling you, my entire life is different. My entire outlook is different. My entire aura and energy is different because I truly am anchored in the belief that stress does not get you to your purpose, that letting go and surrendering does, and taking everything as a learning opportunity and a lesson and just taking the next right step for yourself and trusting yourself, that is what moves you towards your purpose. And truly the journey is the purpose. So I promise you this works. This is life-changing because it changed my life. So I would love to hear in the comments just more about your experiences, more about what you guys feel like are the biggest things for rewiring beliefs, or if you have any questions that you want to turn into a discussion, I'm absolutely here for that. I truly, truly thank you for being here. I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this, and on my page I have a lot of videos where I weave things like this into get ready with me's and beauty videos, which me leaning into beauty and beauty as ritual and beauty as self-care has been a big thing for me rewiring my beliefs about myself as well, because I'm letting joy and fun and lightness take the lead, and that's part of it for me. Things don't always have to be heavy to be healing, and that's the biggest thing for me. So me leaning into beauty and making that a part of my content and my channel, it all ties back together. So if you like those kinds of things, please go subscribe and join me for future videos, and I hope to see you in the future. Have a beautiful day.